There's a specific kind of silence that happens just before something terrible occurs. A silence that feels heavy, like it's pressing against your eardrums. If you are hearing this, you've already stayed up past the warning. Welcome to Volume 3 of Curfew Stories. Tonight we go deeper into the archives of the unexplained. Don't look at the windows. Just listen. The man in the Polaroid in 1994, a family moved into an old Victorian house in Vermont. While cleaning the attic, the young daughter found an old Polaroid camera. She pressed the button, but the camera didn't take a picture of the room. It developed a photo of a man standing in a basement, holding a butcher's knife. Thinking it was a prank, the father took a photo of the garden. The photo came out showing the same man, now standing on the porch. Every time they took a picture, the man in the photo was in a different part of the house, getting closer to wherever the camera was. They burned the camera, but the next morning a fresh Polaroid was lying on the kitchen table. It was a photo of the family sleeping in their beds, and the man was sitting on the edge of the mattress, looking directly into the lens. The unfinished basement of 1982. There is a house in Ohio where the basement door is welded shut. In the 80s, the owners claimed that their basement didn't have a floor. When they opened the door, they didn't see concrete. They saw a vast, glowing forest of white trees stretching infinitely downward. They dropped a microphone on a long cable into the dark. For 10 minutes they heard nothing. Then they heard the sound of thousands of children's voices, all whispering the same phone number. When the father dialed that number, his own voice answered from the other end. But it wasn't his current voice. It was his voice from when he was 6 years old, crying, asking why they had left him in the White Woods. He had no memory of ever being lost as a child. The mirror in the guest room, a travel vlogger, stayed in a remote inn in the Black Forest. In his room there was a mirror that didn't show the room behind him. It showed the room as it looked 100 years ago. In the mirror the bed was different. The wallpaper was peeling, and a candle was burning on the knitstand. The vlogger thought it was a clever digital screen until he saw a shadow move in the mirror, say reflection. The shadow approached the bed in the mirror and started to pull the covers off. In the real world, the vlogger felt his own blankets being ripped away by invisible hands. He tried to run, but the door in the real world was locked, while in the mirror it stood wide open. He had to jump into the mirror to escape. People say he is still there, a ghost in the reflection, watching guests sleep in a room that no longer exists. The radio station from the ocean deep-sea divers off the coast of Japan discovered a strange phenomenon, an underwater radio signal that can only be picked up by old-fashioned transistor radios. The broadcast consists of a woman reading a list of names and addresses. Every person on that list has been missing for over 50 years. Between the names there is the sound of heavy, rhythmic thumping, like a giant heart beating against metal. In 2022, a researcher noticed that her own name had been added to the list. 3 days later, her apartment was found completely flooded with seawater, even though she lived in a desert. She was never seen again, but her voice can now be heard on the broadcast, reading the next set of names. The playground at 4:00 a.m. There is a playground in a public park that is cordoned off with heavy chains. Local legends say that if you sit on the swings at exactly 4 a.m., the world around you will turn gray. The trees will lose their leaves, and the sun will never rise. A group of teenagers broke in to test the legend. One girl sat on the swing and started to move. As she swung higher, she started to age. In seconds, her hair turned white, and her skin became wrinkled. She screamed for her friends to stop her, but they couldn't see her anymore. To them, she had simply vanished. She spent what felt like 40 years in the gray world, until the swing finally stopped. When she stepped off, she was back in the real world, but she was now an 80-year-old woman, while her friends were still 17. The customer who never left, a night manager at a 24-hour convenience store, noticed a man standing in the back aisle, near the milk crates. The man was wearing a heavy winter coat, even though it was mid-July. He didn't move for 6 hours. When the manager finally went to ask him to leave, he realized the man didn't have a face, just a smooth surface of pale skin where the eyes and mouth should be. The man handed the manager a crumpled receipt from 1974. The receipt was for a single item, human time. Pine. As soon as the manager touched the paper, the store lights went out. When they came back on, the man was gone, but the manager's watch had stopped. He realized that for every second he had looked at the man, a year of his life had been taken. He walked out of the store, a middle-aged man, leaving his youth in the back aisle. The mimic in the attic, a young boy, told his mother that there was another mommy in the attic. The mother laughed it off, thinking it was an imaginary friend. One night, while the mother was washing dishes, she heard her own voice calling from the top of the stairs. "Honey, come up here. I found something." The mother froze. She looked at the stairs, then back at the sink. Then she heard the boy's voice from the attic, screaming in terror. She ran upstairs, but when she reached the attic door, she saw herself standing there. The other mother smiled, but her jaw opened wider than any human jaw should. It whispered, "I'm the real one now." The mother managed to grab her son and flee the house. They never went back, but sometimes when she looks in the mirror, she sees the attic version of herself standing behind her, waiting for her to blink. Which of these accounts will stay with you tonight? Are the sounds you hear in your house just the building settling, or is it something else? Tell us your most terrifying encounter in the comments. We are watching. Subscribe to Curfew Stories for more.